Hey, welcome back to Then We Eat. Today we're going to be using up some leftover mushrooms, so let's make some mushroom soup. We had some leftover mushrooms from a couple of meals this week, and we thought that with it being so cold outside right now, it'd be a good day to make some soup. So we're going to start off with about 4 tablespoons of butter, and we'll just let that melt down. So a couple of things with the mushrooms. With the little creminis we're using, all we did was use a little brush and just brush off the dirt. You don't want to put them in water. If you do, then they're going to get a little bit waterlogged. They're not quite as good. As far as the Portobello goes, which is the other mushrooms we're using, the first thing you want to do is scrape out the black gills underneath. It doesn't taste very good, and it really blackens the soup, so it's best just to get rid of it if you can. Alrighty, so once the butter's melted down some, we're going to add 1 shallot, and we'll just let that cook down a bit. We're not going to leave it too long, just a few minutes, and then we're going to add the mushrooms. So just enough to just start to get it to soften a bit. The shallots aren't going to fry here because there's so much butter in the pan, so you're just looking to kind of melt them down a bit. Alright, so the shallots now are about where I want them, a little bit translucent, so we'll go ahead and add the mushrooms. We're going to add, as I said earlier, Cremini and Portobello, because that's happened to be what we had from the meals earlier in the week. And I have a little bit over a pound, but a pound will work. And the truth of the matter is you can use any mushrooms you want in this. Generally speaking, if I make this soup, we use exotic mushrooms. So we'll go ahead and add the mushrooms. Just give them a little stir, let the butter get in around them. And we'll just let those cook down for a few minutes as well. The pot probably looks pretty full at the moment, but the mushrooms will definitely break down a lot. So just kind of toss them around until the mushrooms have absorbed the butter. And you can see now that the butter's pretty much, well, matter of fact, it's all gone, as you can see. So we'll just let these cook down for a minute. It also doesn't hurt if they get a slight, just kind of browned a bit. It just gives a little bit more flavor to the soup. Okay, so at about this point, you'll probably notice the pan's going to start getting a little wet. It's just the moisture coming out of the mushrooms. Again, it's not a bad thing. What it's going to do is just intensify the flavor of the mushrooms. So we're going to leave this a little bit longer. Okay, so it looks like the mushrooms are about ready to go. At this point, we're going to deglaze the pan with a little bit of sherry. The one thing I should point out is if you're using like white button mushrooms, you're probably aren't going to want to cook them this long, or they're going to really break down by the time you're done making the soup. So just keep that in mind. Different mushrooms. We're using Portobello today, which are pretty substantial, so they take a lot longer to cook. And this looks good to me. So we're just going to take a little, probably about between a tablespoon and 2 tablespoons of sherry, just to deglaze the pan. And just give that a stir and then let the alcohol cook off. And you can see that it really helps get all the bits off the bottom. Okay, so we've cooked the sherry down. There shouldn't be any more alcohol. We just have the nice flavor of the sherry, and it's been, again, boiled down a little bit. At this point, we're going to add the flour. The flour, just to thicken it, we've got 1/4 cup here. So 4 tablespoons of butter to 1/4 cup of flour. Anytime you're adding flour to something you're cooking, the one thing you want to do is make sure that you give the flour a little bit of time to cook, or it's going to have a much more floury taste than it will if you leave it a couple of minutes. Alright, so just a couple minutes for the flour. Okay, so once you got the flour cooked down, just be careful you don't burn it onto the bottom. It is going to stick, but this will deglaze it again. So we're just going to add a little bit at a time so that the flour hopefully won't clump. Just keep mixing and mixing, and add a little more broth as you go. Once you get to a certain point, you can just go ahead and add it all, but I like to add it a little slower at first. Okay, so we've added about 4 cups of chicken broth. We're going to leave it there. Looks like it's about a good consistency. We're going to add a little pepper. Pepper's up to you. We use a little bit more than most people, but it doesn't really matter. Just some pepper. I'm not going to add salt at this point because I did use store-bought chicken stock. So it's already kind of salty, so we'll wait till the end and just see if it needs any more. Then I'm going to add about a tablespoon of fresh thyme. All right, so we're just going to bring that up to a simmer, let it cook for maybe 15-20 minutes or so, and just check the mushrooms. If you're good with the consistency, then you can stop there and we'll move on. Okay, so the mushrooms have been cooking down for about 15 minutes or so. We like a little more texture to the mushrooms. We're going to stop here. You can see it's pretty thick. And the mushrooms are just tender, so you know you've still got a bit of a bite when you eat them. Portobello tend to be that way anyway. But so at this point we're going to add some cream, about half a cup or so. So we'll just let that come back up to temperature, and then we'll give it another taste test. Oh my God, that's good. Definitely doesn't need any salt. I do think it needs a little bit more pepper. And I think actually I'm also going to see if we have a little bit of dry thyme, we'll add just a bit more. And we should be good to go. Okay, so you have a couple of options here. Generally what I do is I take about half the soup out, blend it down so to puree it, and then add back the rest of the soup. So it makes it a little bit thicker, or you can blend the whole thing. Or today, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it the way it is, because the piece of mushroom are small enough, and it'll be fine the way it is anyway. So, but that's the three options. The very best one to us is if you take about half of it, blend it, and then add it back into what's already there. All right, give us a couple of seconds to clean up, and we'll put some in a bowl so you can see what it's like. Okay, so we've got a bowl all ready to eat. We just put a little parsley on the top, a little pepper. And that's about it. So let's give it a taste, see how it tastes. That is so good. It's 0 degrees here today, about 32 Fahrenheit. And I can tell you that nice warm soup is beautiful. The flavor is incredible. Lots of mushroom flavor. Just really good stuff. So remember, if you like this video, hit the like button, share it with all your buddies, and hit the notification bell so you're notified when we upload a new video. We try to upload one every week, and remember that we also keep the recipes down in the description so that you can make it after you've watched the video. So once again, thanks for watching, and don't forget, first we cook, then we eat. So good.